afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 12:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on this Tuesday. Tuesday? No, it's Thursday. Jesus. Wait for it. There it is. Tuesday, April the 8th, 2021. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And this is episode 159 of McRae Live. And today I want to talk about the 2020 psychological thriller Run, and also two cast members from the original Child's Play series are returning to the Chucky TV series on Sci-Fi. Do you care? Does it matter? Is it gonna make it better? I don't know. We're gonna chat about it. Both these things we're gonna talk about today on episode 159. Welcome to the show, everybody. Great to see you here. Where should I begin? Where should I start on the program today? Well, I'm going to start with the Chucky TV series. Now, as we know, the Chucky TV series is coming to Sci-Fi, I believe, and you know, Don Mancini I'm sure. I don't think he'd say this publicly, but I'm sure he was thrilled with the subpar reception and not all that great box office receipts of the Child's Play remake. I mean, I'm sure his buddies are kind of like, and he's like, yeah, whew. However, that doesn't mean that this Chucky TV series is going to be anything special. I mean, hopefully it will be. I'm curious to see it. I want to see it. I'm a big fan of the very first Child's Play. I'm a big fan of the second Child's Play, although I much prefer the first Child's Play, but I do like the second one. The third one is okay. I mean, it's watchable, but I don't like anything after that. To be fair, full disclosure, I have not seen any of the movies after Child's Play 3 from start to finish. I've seen bits and bobs, pieces, bits and pieces. And I know what you might be thinking. Well, then how can you make it? Because I don't need to see all of dog shit to know something's dog shit. Now, that's my opinion, of course, right? What I'm saying is that I can watch 30, 40 minutes of, Seed of Chucky or Bride of Chucky, whatever it is. And it's just not my style. It's just not my kind of horror movie. I don't need to watch the whole thing. It's not going to get better for me. It's not going to get better. It's not like it's a movie where I'm watching and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is pretty good. No, it's not. I don't like it. I don't like the direction. I don't like it. So I don't need to continue to watch it. Okay? It's very different from where they started in 1988. Now, I know that with Cult of Chucky and Curse of Chucky, some people feel that maybe one of those, I think it was Cult of Chucky, one of those films, of course, maybe they've gotten some things back on track. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with this TV series. But it looks like they're kind of pulling a Cobra Kai, and they're bringing everybody out of the woodwork. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because I know Alex was in I get that there's mishes and mashes and bips and bobs, and I understand that, but I'm curious to see how these characters are, and I understand that the continuity is there. I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due, and although the later Child's Play films became, in my opinion, certainly it's a linear continuity as far as I know. It's like the Friday the 13th movies. I mean, the Friday the 13th movies, most of them are dog shit, right? But you got to give credit where credit is due. And yes, they follow a linear continuity. Okay. So let's move over to Entertainment Weekly here. This is the article from Entertainment Weekly. This is what they're saying. Child's Play franchise stars Alex Vincent and Christine Elise McCarthy, I believe, to reprise roles on Chucky, or as the mom in the original Child's Play liked to say, Chucky. Where are you going? I'm going to find Chucky. Everybody now, Chucky. That's how you got to say it. Can you imagine? Next on Chucky. Actors will once more co-star with slasher icon on the USA and Sci-Fi TV series. Excuse me, those people are not the stars. 2 more Child's Play series actors are getting dolled up. I see what you did there, dolled up. For a return to the horror franchise. EW can exclusively reveal that Alex Vincent and Christine Elise McCarthy will both appear on the upcoming USA and Sci-Fi show Chucky. The doll? It's ya doll? Chucky did it. Ya doll? I love it. Right. Vincent will reprise the role of Andy Barclay, which he played in 1988's franchise inaugurating Child's Play and several of the movie's sequels, including Child's Play 2 and Curse of Chucky. So it was Curse of Chucky he was in. Was that the last one? The last straight to Netflix kind of thing? I think that was the last one. Anyway, Beverly Hills 90210 actress McCarthy will once again portray the part of Kyle, which she played in. Oh, we got a typo. Which she played in. Somebody's got to go back and get in touch with Entertainment Weekly and take out that extra in. Which she played in Child's Play 2 and Cult of Chucky. Brad Dourif returns to voice Chucky on the show, and as EW revealed last month, Dourif's daughter, Fiona, this is cool, will reprise the role of Nika. Is it Nika? Nika, I think. A part she played in both this is why I don't know this, in both the 2013 film Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. Well, that's kind of cool. Other cast members include Jennifer Tilly, Zachary Arthur, Tio Briones. Am I saying that right? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Alvia Lynn? Maybe Alvia Lynn Lind? Boy, these are tough names. That would be Bjorgvin, perhaps? Anarison? Barbara Allen, maybe? Allen Woods? Lexa. Boy, these are tough. I tell you, I would look at this and if I was reading these names on a script, because there's several different ways you can read these names, I would go back to the client and I would say, could you phonetically spell them out, or can you give me an MP3 file of the exact pronunciations? That's what we voice actors do. Oh, I know the last one though, Devon Sawa. And Final Destination star Devon Sawa. Chucky premieres this fall on USA and Sci-Fi. So interesting. Okay, so look, I mean, not a lot of information there. I'll be honest with you, and you guys after the fact can help me out. You can, if you're watching the show after the fact, you can comment below and let me know. If you are a big Chucky fan, maybe Cody Leach is in the chat room. Maybe he'll be watching after the fact. Who knows? He's a big Chucky fan. Chucky. I'm going to fight Chucky. I don't know what information there is beyond what I'm reading in tidbits like this with the new Chucky series. I mean, we know sort of where it is in the timeline, that kind of stuff. But I mean, like in terms of the real juicy details of the narrative, and we probably won't know that until the series begins. My worry here is, listen, there's nothing wrong with getting the band back together again, and that's fun and that can be exciting. And certainly having Alex Vincent in there is a plus. I mean, he's the OG. I mean, Alex Vincent, although he's not like this, from a certain point of view, he's like, the Laurie Strode of Child's Play. From a certain point of view is what I'm saying. And then, of course, Christine Elise McCarthy, who played Kyle in Child's Play 2. I mean, she's a fan favorite. She was in one movie, but she was in one movie prior to the one that she was in a few years ago. But she's a fan favorite. And certainly when you bring back, you see, this is the thing. When you bring back these two characters, and I know they were brought back for the one a few years ago. I know that. But they are so identified with arguably when Child's Play was good. right? So when you bring back characters, it can be a great psychological tactic as well. We're bringing back characters from an era and a time when these movies were actually good and they weren't mockery of themselves and they weren't shit shows. And you know what I mean? Because, you know, the first Child's Play is a great fucking movie. And arguably, people like Child's Play 2 over Child's Play 1. I don't, but certainly I can understand why. How's it hanging, John? I think it's John, isn't it? John, Jack, something like that. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. So it's just good optics as well. You know what I mean? To bring these characters back. My concern is I want to know the layout of the story. And maybe that information is out there and maybe we already know. And I didn't do my due diligence enough to find that out. But I'm very curious on the details of this because when you bring, you know, I don't want it to be so saturated because you're bringing characters back from different eras of Chucky, tonally, you know, and it's like, how is this going to work? I'm curious to see that. I'm curious what the story is going to be. And is this going to be too much too soon? You know, maybe they shouldn't have revealed this. Maybe they should have played it like Cobra Kai and, you know, brought back, like maybe you start with these two, you know what I mean? I mean, I'll be honest with you, and full disclosure, this is probably because I really only like the first two films. I would be totally okay if this was a series based around these two characters, and that's it. I don't know how. I don't know what type of longevity that would have. It depends what Don Mancini has up his sleeve in terms of the direction of the series, but I would be okay with that, you know. But then again, I'm also looking at it through a certain type of lens. I want to see, you know, I want that tone of the first movie or the second film. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. I just think that maybe they're showing too much of their cards too soon. You know, like, wouldn't it have been cool to watch this show and not know at all that Alex and Christine were returning? And then by like the end of maybe like you end the first season with Alex returning or something, like, and that gets you pumped up for the second season. I mean, that's the kind of thing that it seems to work well with fans. Now, if you don't have that emotional, nostalgic attachment from what came before, you probably don't care. Do you know what I mean? It's usually for people like me, you know, guys in their 40s and their 50s who grew up with this kind of stuff, who understand, you know, who do have that emotional, nostalgic attachment and, you know, love that kind of, oh my God, there we go, fuck ah! You know what I mean? If you're 25, maybe not a big deal for you. I don't know. Is it too much too soon? I mean, we know pretty much everybody Jennifer Tilly is back and, you know, these two are back and, you know, Brad Dourif's daughter is back and it just seems like maybe we should, and please, Chucky fans, let me know what other surprises in terms of cast now, mind you, unless, and you can let me know this, Child's Play fans, the woman that played Andy Barclay's mother, okay, in the original movie, who I don't think was ever in any other Child's Play since, but I could be wrong. Has it ever been stated in any of the Child's Play films, any of them, that she's dead? Or did she come back for any of the Child's Play movies? I don't think she did. Did she? Let me know in the chat room. Don't take a guess. If you actually do know, let me know. And if nobody knows, comment below and let me know your thoughts. I mean, that's one area that might be interesting. Or maybe the cop from the first Child's Play, because I don't think he died, right? Did he ever return in any of the Child's Play films? Let me know. Was it ever stated that he was dead in any of the Child's Play movies? Of course, you know, you can bring anybody back from the dead, right? I mean, let's be honest here. Hollywood does it so many times. I mean, it's, you know, it's unreal, right? So that doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day. But has it ever been stated that the mother and the cop have been dead at any point, or were they ever in any Child's Play movie after that? I know they weren't in 2. No, she is still alive, says Machete Slasher. So it was stated in like Cult or Curse or whatever that she is alive. I know she went crazy. That was stated in Child's Play 2. She was mentioned in Curse of Chucky. She's alive and with Mike. Is Mike she's alive and with Mike? Was it actually stated that she is alive and she's with Mike? And is Mike the cop? No, she's not dead, nor the cop. Okay, great. Okay, so everybody is saying that. So there seems to be a general consensus here that she's not dead. But answer this for me. Have either of those characters, the actors, appeared in any of the Chucky films, any of them, since the first one? In Curse of Chucky, Alex Vincent talks to her on the phone and asks about the cop. Okay. So thank you very much, Machete Slasher. So that's good. That's good connective tissue in terms of continuity to the original. They should bring them back 100%. So here's the thing. Now, unless you're going to do that, yep, she talks to her on the phone at the end of Curse. Okay. Now, was it just some random female voice that we heard? Like, oh, hi, honey. Blah, blah, blah. Was it the actual actress's voice? I don't think you need to do that, by the way. I think that just would have been like, ridiculous. Anyway, having said that, okay, well, that's interesting. So those two, as far as I know, still have not been announced. Maybe they're working on, and I'm going to tell you right now, Don Mancini, if you're watching, he's not watching. But if anybody who knows him who's watching, probably not. And it may not even be up to him anyway. I'd hold that close to the vest. If you are planning on bringing the cop and the mom back for like a couple of episodes or something, don't let that out. Don't let that out. I mean, I know you need to draw. I know there's that fine line between what do we release that drums up excitement and what do we hold close to the vest, because sometimes, it can be tempting to show all your cards, especially when you're behind the eight ball, like a series like Chucky, right? They are behind the eight ball. I mean, they've done so many movies. Most of them beyond are shit. Some are better than others. So I hear from, the Chucky fans, right? But, it's not, they haven't really, you know what I'm saying? So I know they're behind the eight ball and they want to garner up excitement, but you don't want to show all your cards. And if in like a couple of weeks they announce that, the mom and the cop are back, and it's like, well, who's left? Like, I mean, where are the surprises beyond just watching it unfold? And sometimes that can be okay. Sometimes, just watching it play out in real time, can be exciting in and of itself. But I would say that this is as far as I would go. See, the thing is that you couldn't reveal it would be more difficult to reveal that the cop, and yes, he does own the rights, but that doesn't necessarily mean he has all the say. So I can understand that you wouldn't want to reverse it and say that the mom and the cop are back and you have no inkling whatsoever if Alex and Christine are back. If the mom and cop are back, that generally will tip the audience off to think, well, if the mom and the cop are coming back, then Alex and Christine, or at least Alex at the very least, would have to be coming back, right? So, but you can say that Alex and Christine are coming back and you don't and that doesn't necessarily tip the audience to thinking, well, the mom and the cop got to be coming back now. It doesn't work both ways, right? So maybe that's why. Maybe they decided to release this now because they still have a lot of things up their sleeves. I hope so. Because, these types of series will not go on for 10 seasons. I mean, they are limited. You might get 3 to 5 seasons out of it, maybe. But you don't want to reveal everything so soon. You don't want to reveal everything so soon. I don't. And again, I got to watch the show. I got to watch the episodes, and maybe I will feel differently. I'll be like, oh, you know what? They did a really good job. It didn't go the way that I thought it was going to. But at face value, when I read things like this is what I think of. These are my thoughts, right? I'm like, wow, okay, well, what are we doing? Like, what's left to surprise the audience beyond just the narrative, And I think it would be cool. I think it'd be cool if we didn't know this. I think it'd be so cool if we didn't know if Alex and Christine were returning and we watched it and then all of a sudden, there's that episode where he's back. You're like, oh, and then what it does is it creates massive buzz online. People get really excited. It causes people to tune in who may not wanted to tune in, I don't know. I'm very curious to see what Mancini does. Again, big fan of the original. Really like the sequel, not so much the third movie, and then anything after that, I just don't give a shit about. I just don't care. And that doesn't mean that Cult, I think, or Curse, or whatever the last one was, wasn't more back to the roots. I hear people who say that, and that's fine. I'll have to give it a watch. But at the end of the day, these movies are, hokey, cheesy. They went that territory with Bride and Seed and you're bringing Jennifer Tilly back. And it's just like you're connecting so much of the tissue to the garbage as well. And, say what you want about Halloween 18. And Lord knows I've been extremely critical. 100%. I don't hate the movie, but you guys know me, right? But I understand why. It's not necessarily, I know, it's like, oh God, now we got to pretend this one doesn't exist and that one doesn't exist. But I understand the creative decision. I understand the creative mindset of why they do that. Because they need to get rid of the connective tissue. It's like cancer, right? They need to chop it off and start fresh. They can't continue a continuity that is reliant on continuity from garbage movies. And I'm not saying that that's what Mancini is doing here with his Chucky TV series, but there's nothing, but by all accounts, maybe he'll focus more on the continuity that relates to the better movies. Maybe he'll do that, but he's still has people and situations and things in there that are from the, maybe the best, and maybe Don Mancini feels a little more, because it's his baby, essentially. I mean, he wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one that created Chucky, but certainly he's front and center now, and it's his baby. He'll go down as the Child's Play Chucky guy. It's his legacy, and I'm sure he's thinking about that as well. But sometimes I don't know, man. I mean, I certainly agree that if you're going to continue with Chucky, you can't do it in a series. It's just the interest isn't there anymore. It wouldn't have mattered how good that Child's Play from 2019 was. And I didn't even think it was that bad. I thought it was all right. I thought it was pretty good, actually. We're not in that era anymore. That kind of thing is not going to establish a hugely successful slasher theatrical franchise. It's just not. I understand Halloween 18 made $253 million, the worldwide box office. I get it. But there's reasons for that. There's variables, right? Not everything can do that. So, and that doesn't mean that they're going to do it again and again and again. They won't. But, it's, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I'm curious to see it. I'm excited to see them back. I think I may have been more excited if this was actually the first time we hadn't seen them since the second movie. That would have been like wild. But we just saw them a few years ago. So I mean, it doesn't. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they decided to just let it out of the bag. It's like, well, this isn't really we just saw them together like a couple of years ago. Not a couple of years ago, but a few years ago. Maybe we just. It's not really that big of a deal. We'll just, right? Can you imagine if this was the first time we had seen Alex Vincent in the role of Andy and Christine, right? I think that's her name. Elise McCarthy in the role of Kyle. If this was the first time we had seen them in this role in 31 years, since 1990, because I believe that was Child's Play 2, was 1990. Can you imagine? Now that brings a whole different level of excitement. But we just saw them a few years ago. So maybe that's why they decided to just kind of say, who cares? I mean, it's not, whatever. Who cares? I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts, folks. Those are my thoughts. Comment below and let me know your thoughts of the news that these two actors are returning, your thoughts on the Chucky TV series, the direction you want them to go in, the direction you think they're going to go. Do you think it's getting a little saturated in terms of knowing about the saturation? Do you think, like me, that maybe they should kind of hold off, play a few cards close to the vest and reveal these surprises throughout the course of the show? Because that might, it might be more exciting and more satisfying for the viewer if we are able to see these things unfold as surprises. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Let's go over to the other thing I wanted to talk about today, which of course is the movie I watched last night. I wanted to talk about this. Now, for those of you, now remember, I'm not a movie reviewer. I'm not going to be reviewing the movie in the traditional sense, but I am going to put up the spoiler alert here on the screen. You see that red stop sign there that says spoiler alert? Well, I'm giving you guys the opportunity now, okay, to turn away. You can do that. You don't have to continue to watch me. The show will be on the channel, later. So you can come back and watch it. If you are planning on watching the 2020 movie that is currently on, well, I guess it's currently on Hulu, but we don't get Hulu here in Canada. I found it on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Netflix in the States. I gather it probably isn't. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's moved over there as well. But that's where I watched it. Okay, and it's a movie called Run, R-U-N, Run. And it's directed by the same gentleman who directed the movie Searching, which I really like. They're doing a Searching 2, by the way. I don't think he's directing it. But I really like that movie Searching. So it's directed by this guy. It's a psychological thriller. I was going to watch it the other night, but I ended up watching another movie. So last night I got back from my run. I usually jog at nighttime because I just like jogging at night. There's not a lot of people around. And I do about 5K 4 times a week. So I got back from my run. It was about 10:30, hopped in the shower, and I decided to watch a movie. And I decided to watch the movie that I was going to watch the night before, but didn't. It's called Run, psychological thriller. Knew nothing about it, but the blurb that's on Netflix. And I really enjoyed this movie. So spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a movie reviewer. I don't do spoiler reviews and non-spoiler reviews, and I don't like tiptoeing like that. I just want to talk about shit. So again, if you have not seen the movie Run and you are planning on watching the movie Run, then do not continue to watch this because I'm going to spoil it for you. Okay? That is your warning. All right, that is your warning. I have the spoiler alert up on the screen, so people who tune in and didn't hear me say that will know, oh, he's talking about something that's spoilery. Maybe I want to tune out. You've been warned. But if you're like me, it's very difficult to spoil a movie for me. Because what is a spoiler to one isn't a spoiler to another. Spoilers are so arbitrary nowadays. And, so it takes a lot to spoil a movie for me. I can know a lot about a movie, even a lot about how a movie ends, and still enjoy the process of watching it unfold, because sometimes that can be very, very, very different. It can go great and it can go very bad. Okay, so the movie Run stars Sarah Paulson, and what is her name? Sarah Paulson, and the actress, I believe it's Kyra Allen. It's Kyra, I think. K-I-E-R-A, Kyra Allen, who plays Chloe Sherman, and Sarah Paulson, who plays Diane Sherman. And essentially, it is about this young girl, Chloe, who is, I think she's like 16 or 17, and she's bound to a wheelchair. She's not quadriplegic. Is that the one where no, I think paraplegic is the one where you're completely paralyzed, I think. She's more of a quadriplegic, I believe. She can move her arms and legs and all that kind of stuff, but it's just her, she can move her arms and her torso and her head, but it's her legs that are no good. And so, and I heard somebody say that she's actually an actress that really is in a wheelchair. I don't know if that's true or not. You can comment below and let me know after the fact. I heard something that may be true, that may not be true. I don't know. I heard something about that, but it may not be true. Anyways, that's not the point. This is the role, and she's being taken care of by her mother, and her mother is giving her medication and all this kind of stuff. And it's just the two of them essentially for the entire movie, almost. Very Misery-esque, you got Paul Sheldon, who's in bed and who needs to be taken care of. And you got, of course, Kathy Bates's character. Oh, Paul, there's a lot of things in this movie that will remind you of Misery, and in a very good way. But apparently Chloe has been like this from birth, right? That's what you're led to believe. She's been like this from birth. And the movie just kind of rolls out. Chloe's very smart, very intelligent. She wants to go to college. She's applying to college. She's, very smart young girl. But she starts to suspect that something is wrong, and that her mother is giving her medication that keeps making her sick. And she starts to get suspicious of the medication that her mother is giving her. And oh yeah, that's right. The mother is giving her shit. The mother is essentially trying to keep her sick because her mother is mentally ill. And there's a reason for that. It's because her mother, and again, I'm spoiling this, folks. I'm spoiling this. So if you don't care about this, if you care about spoilers and you want to watch the movie Run, which is currently on Hulu or Netflix, depending on where you are in the world, and you want to watch it, don't continue to watch the rest of this episode, or at least for the time being. All right, come back and watch it after. Go watch the movie and then come back and watch this, and then you can, feels better, right? All right, you've been warned again. So the mother is had a baby years earlier that was, for all intents and purposes, stillborn, and then you discover as the movie goes along through Chloe, because most of the movie is through Chloe's perspective. You discover that the mother actually stole her. She's actually not her mother, and she stole her from some other parents, and she raised her as her own. And that the mother that stole this baby from this hospital has never been caught, and things like that. The scene that you discover that is the only scene in the movie that I feel is a little convenient. Like it's kind of like we're getting to that point in the movie where we need to show what's going on. So Chloe is, chained in the basement, and she flops out of the wheelchair and crawls to this box that she sees conveniently with, I think, her mother's name on it or something. She opens this shoe box, and there's all these newspaper clippings and articles. Like it's that kind of thing. It's kind of like, oh, here's the show don't tell exposition, of what's going on. But I mean, it doesn't bother, it didn't bother me per se, because the rest of the movie is fan-fucking-tastic. It really is. It really is. It's a really solid movie. I really enjoyed it. And the performances from Sarah Paulson and this young girl, who's actually, I think she's really 24 in, real life or whatever, but she's playing somebody who's like 16. And you believe it, I totally buy it, was fantastic. Like, it was a really great performances and some genuine suspense in this movie. Like, really good suspense, and kudos to the director. Oh God, what's his name? Anish Chaganty, maybe? Chaganty. Anish Chaganty. Looks like he might be, he might be Indian, maybe? Indian in terms of from India, I mean. Let's see here. He's an Indian-American film director and screenwriter. Very cool. And he's only 30 years old. Fucking unreal. Anyway, props to you, my man. Props to you, because this was great. This was great. And really enjoyed your film searching. Really enjoyed this movie a lot. And there's this one scene. I made a tweet about this yesterday after I watched the movie. So the tweet was like 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever, my time. And there's this scene, and now listen, this never really affects. I can watch horror movies. I don't get goosebumps. I don't get scared. And it's not because I'm too big for that. No, it has nothing to do with that. I'm very good at watching things as a filmmaker and watching things as a fan. And, I can do two things at once, and I get lost. And I don't know. Horror films can be creepy but I get more excited. I get more excited when I see creepy things or cool things. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah. I'm not necessarily scared per se. Well, this shot in Run actually did creep me out for a moment. I rarely have that. Now, you may see it. Again, I'm going to spoil this. So if you don't want to know what this is, please don't continue to watch. But it was creepy. Okay, so obviously Chloe is suspecting there's something wrong, right? And she starts not taking these pills, and she wants to know what these pills are. And she discovers that the pill bottle that she was able to extract from the medicine cabinet, and it's so great because she's in a wheelchair, because the character has a disability and is not as mobile as like you or I or her mother, right? It's very much like Misery in that sense, that it takes her longer to do everything. So if the mother is just outside, you or I could be like, okay, I'm just going to go down here and get this really quickly, right? We could do that, right? Because we're able-bodied people. We're I think that's the right term, right? Yeah. We have all of our functions, let's say, right? So we're able to do that very quickly and very stealthy, no problem. But when you have a movie like Misery or like Run, where your main protagonist essentially is in a wheelchair and unable to do things quickly or stealthily, it helps to add to the suspense, right? And the tension, right? Because, there's a scene where she sees the mom outside in the garden and she knows, okay, now here's my opportunity to go and, do a couple of things or whatever, but it takes her forever to do anything because she has, she's got a wheel over there and she's got to get like a thing and, reach up and open. And of course, this is adding suspense to the movie, right? And it's cutting back and forth to the mom outside, to her in the house, to the mom outside, to her in the house. It's really, really well done. And I felt some genuine, like, fuck, I was rooting for this girl, right? And you will be too. And, but there's this great scene where she unravels the sticker on the pill bottle and realizes that there's another sticker underneath, that her mother has been giving her the wrong medication and it's got a name, and she's like, oh my God, whatever. Right? So I don't know what time it was, but it was at nighttime. And she wheels, I guess she must be downstairs, and she wheels over to the computer. Okay. And now we as an audience, and she assumes her mom is in bed. Okay. This was great. This was a great shot. Anish, the director of the film, and your DP, fantastic work. It was the creepiest rack focus I've ever seen. Rack focus is when you change the focus of the depth of field. So like, in simplest layman's terms, it's like, when you see a switch in focus, right? So I'm in focus, somebody's in the background, out of focus, and then they rack focus or pull focus to have me in focus. Wait, so I'm in focus, they're out of focus, and then they rack focus to put me out of focus and them in focus. You see that all the time. That's what rack focus is. This was one of the creepiest rack focus shots I've ever seen. I didn't expect it at all. And the tension was great. So she's at the computer and we're seeing her and she wants to figure out, what this medication is. So she logs on and she goes to Google Chrome and she's trying to figure it out, and the tension's kind of there. It's kind of quiet, and then she types in the name of the medication, but there's no internet access. So we see that little thing, I think it's a dinosaur, right? Or whatever, that pops up that says, you don't have any internet, like that thing that pops up that says you have no internet connectivity or whatever. And she's like, oh shit, and now we see her from the profile. Okay. And she's like, and then of course we as an audience are like, oh, fuck, right? And so then she wheels back in the chair. Okay. She's in focus. She wheels back. The camera is here, right? We're seeing her, okay, from a profile shot. On the right side of her, there's this long hallway that leads into the kitchen. And at the end of the hall is the kitchen table. And it's dark. It's not completely dark, but it's moody. It's atmospheric. It's dark, right? And at the end of the hall, on the other side of the table, sitting in dimly lit light, features not that apparent, just like this light sort of cascading on her just ever so delicately. You don't even really see her at all, is her mother. I'm telling you, it creeped me out. I was like, because the shot was so well done. It looked so good. And you're like, oh shit, especially in that kind of a movie, because she's so vulnerable. I think maybe if the protagonist was able-bodied and didn't have a disability and were able to do things that you and I can do, those of us that obviously are not, in a wheelchair, we're able to do things a lot faster at the drop of a hat. Like I can just get up and go, you know what I mean? Whereas, people who are in a wheelchair can't necessarily do that, right? They can do a ton of shit. They can do a lot of shit that we can do, but we're just talking about the mechanics of the speed of certain things, right? So I think maybe if it was like me, it starred me and I was sitting there, whatever, you wouldn't, I don't know if you would feel the same sense of vulnerability. Maybe I would have, but man, but here's the thing, busted by mom, but no, the mother doesn't say anything and never does. And it's like, it just cuts to the next morning and they're having breakfast. And I think she does say like, why were you on the computer last night? Or no, she says something like that, but it's very like normal and nonchalant and nothing ever comes of it. And then you think, okay, you know what? She's going to look at the computer and she's going to see what she typed in. And now the cat's out of the bag. Nope, never does. Nothing ever comes from it. It just was purely there to show that she's being watched, that the mother is not fucking stupid. The mother, she's not stupid. She knows. She suspects something. You know what I mean? It was eerie. It's the same kind of thing, the same kind of moody thing and moody feel that I get. This is going to be a weird comparison. From the original Friday the 13th, when what's-her-face, Brenda, I think, is in that washroom. You've heard me talk about this. And she's at the sink. And she looks to her left down the corridor towards the stall. And the stall has a curtain across it. And there's just that light hanging there. That single sort of light source hanging there. It's the scene where you kind of see Deborah Voorhees' hand kind of go on the curtain and then pull back a little bit. That shot, just looking down the corridor, it's eerie. The way it's lit, the way it looks, the grunginess, the dirtiness, it just is an eerie looking shot. If I had walked into a bathroom and saw that at the end of this little, it just looks eerie. It's weird. It's just an eerie image. It's an eerie image. And I got the same kind of feel. It doesn't look identical, but I got the same sort of feel and vibe when this rack focus thing happened. Now, the more I watch it, if I was to watch it 10 times over, I'm sure the novelty would wear off and it probably won't be as creepy to me the second or third time I see it. But the first time I saw it, which was last night, I felt a little chill, just a tiny little chill. I was like, oh, and I said out loud, I'm sitting on my couch in my home theater and I'm like, that's good. And my cat's sitting there and I turned to my cat and I'm like, that was good. Like I actually said this out loud. I was like, that's good. Like that actually, it was very effective. That's what it was. It was very effective. Very creepy because, and I think you feel for this girl. You're rooting for her, but it's not like the mother goes, what are you doing from down the hall? Nope, nothing is said. You know, it doesn't last for any more than maybe 5 seconds. You don't even see the mother's features. You barely see her face, but you know she's sitting there because of the way the light is ever so gently cascading on her. It's creepy as fuck. And you're like, oh, fuck, she's sitting right there at the end of the hall. You know, it's like, it's good. It's good, man. It's good. So I loved it. Very well done, and kudos to, of course, Anish Chaganty, I think is the director's name, and of course the DP. Who is the DP? Got to find this out. The DP, and of course whoever the first assistant director was, which would have been their focus puller. I assume anyway. It can change depending on the set, but cinematography is Hilary Fife Spira. Is this a woman? Good for you. Awesome. Great to see. Yes, it is. A female DP. Yes. Awesome. I love that shit. Love that. That's great. It's great. Because obviously still, I mean, the film industry, and this isn't a woke comment. This is an actual fact. Okay. This is a statistical fact that the film industry is still very much a male dominated industry. So trust me. So it's great to see. It's great to see that a woman, especially in a position like a director or a director of photography, is doing these movies. And she did a great job. Fucking did a great job. I'd hire her no problem if I could afford her. But great stuff. That is awesome. Yeah, who is the, I want to look for the, I got to look for the, you have to excuse me for a second because this is important. I got to look for the, just going to the full cast and crew. I'm going to look for who the first assistant camera was, if they have it listed here. Cinematography, where's your sound department, art department, special effects, stunts, camera and electrical department. First assistant camera was Pascal Bosefort? Pascal Bosefort? Anyway, he was their first assistant camera. Am I saying that right? Bosefort? Pascal Bosefort? He was their first assistant camera. So he was likely the one that pulled that focus. Guys, great job. I mean, like, it genuinely creepy. Genuinely creepy. I was like, that's creepy shit. That's creepy shit. So I really like that. So I really like this movie, and some great suspense. I won't go as so far to tell you how it ends, but it does end satisfyingly. And if you're not too turned off by a lot of the spoilers that I've told you here today, check it out. Run. Sarah Paulson and Kira Allen. Kira Allen. 1997 she was born. So yeah, so she's 24 years old. And she hasn't done much, but she's great. She's really good. If Kira, she very convincing, solid actress. So hats off to you as well. And Sarah Paulson just knocked it out of the park, man. I mean, I wanted to strangle her by the end of the movie. Like, Jesus. And that's good. That shows that, she's done her job. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Run. Highly recommend it. Psychological thriller. I think you will enjoy it. And like I said, hopefully a lot of the spoilers that I've talked about here today haven't ruined it too much for you. But I would check it out. I would definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it a lot. So I think, is there anything else I want to say about it? No. I'll leave it there. I talked about, the basics, what's it's essentially about, and how Chloe suspects that something's not right, and she's got to figure it out. And of course she's trapped, and I will say this, it's got a great message too. It's got a really good message in the movie, that I fully support, that I think is positive, no matter if you are, yes, it's focused on, obviously, if you are in a wheelchair or you have a disability of some sort, that just naturally, because of the disability, whether it's a cognitive disability, whether it's a physical disability, whatever the case is, it already puts you behind the eight ball. Now, I am not somebody, you guys know me, I'm not somebody that believes that no matter your disability, you can do anything and everything you want just as well. No, that doesn't mean you can't, but it doesn't mean that everybody can do. No, I mean, I don't buy into that. That doesn't mean that I don't think people should not be treated equally, and that we should all be treated with the same level of respect. 100%, absolutely, 100%. But, somebody in a wheelchair isn't necessarily going to out basketball LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily, we got to put these things into context, right? But that doesn't mean that somebody in a wheelchair couldn't be an all-star basketball player within the right context, right? I think you know what I'm trying to say. So, yes, I mean, fully. But I think it's a great message for everybody. And you'll understand why it's certainly targeted towards people with a disability, which I think is really important. 2 thumbs up for that. 2 thumbs up for that. But everybody can take something out of it. Everybody can take something out of it. And you'll see why when you see the end of the movie. You'll be like, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's a great message for everybody, no matter who you are. You know what I mean? I think you guys will like it. I think you guys will like it. Check it out if you have some time. All right, let's go to the chat and see what you guys are saying. I don't think I missed any super chats. I did not as far as I know, I don't believe. Anyway, I don't think any super chats came in so far. Let's see what you guys are saying. What are you guys talking about today on this Thursday? What are you guys saying? What kind of questions do you have for me today? My phone is buzzing. Okay, yeah, a lot of messages coming in for It's Me, Billy. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, not to sound mean, but Danielle Harris guest starred on The Conners last night. I heard she was going to be guest starring on The Conners. She is looking like a worn out barfly. I don't know what to say to that. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I will just say that I get what you're saying. I think that I've always, Danielle Harris is obviously, very attractive. But I have noticed that she's looking, and this isn't an attack on her personally, but she's a mom now, right? And she's been a mom for a while, and mom job, I mean, that's a tough job. I do notice in some of the posts I've seen, more candid posts, right? She looks a little tired, but then again, I mean, look at me. I'm sure there's sometimes you see me and you're like, holy fuck, Dave, you look like you haven't got, which is true. I probably haven't gotten any sleep for very different reasons. Of course, I don't have any children, but she does look tired. I think tired is the right word. She's still very, very pretty. And she looks great for her age. She's, I think, a year older than me, year or two older than me. I think she's 43. But she looks great. She looks great. But I would describe it as tired. I think she looks a little tired, and maybe it's just mom duties. You know what I mean? Maybe it's mom duties. It could be mom duties. But how was she in the episode, though? I didn't see the episode. How was she in terms of her character? Was it just a one-off, or was... I don't know. Real Reveal says, yes, Son was an excellent horror movie. That's right, the one with Andy Matichak. I have yet to see Son, but will soon. I got to see that one. Boston Kennedy says, laugh my ass off. Ouch, I think she looks good. I think she still looks great too, but I do notice that there are moments where I see her in candid posts, whether it's Instagram or wherever she's posting and she's talking to the camera. She just looks a little tired. You know what I mean? She just looks a little tired. But I think it's important to understand too that, and this is important, when you are, not that Danielle Harris is an A-list celebrity, she's not, but, and I haven't experienced this even to what Danielle Harris would have experienced this. But in the little bit of celebrityism that I've experienced as a voice actor, which is very different than an on-camera actor, but in terms of just the game, the show, the award show, the red carpet, the cameras, the schmoozing, the pampering, things like that, you times that by 1 trillion, and then you get, I mean, I can only imagine. The point I'm trying to make is that we rarely see these people not looking their best, right? And sometimes when you see, and this is Danielle Harris aside, this is for anybody. I mean, how many times have we seen, candid paparazzi photos of somebody on a beach or somebody walking down the street, and you're like, oh, Jesus, because they're out in their jeans and hoodie and a hat, and and they're like, wow, that's what they look like. Yeah, that's what they look like. It's a very, Hollywood in that sense is a very disingenuous, inaccurate representation of what people look like, to a degree, especially when it comes to women. Women do not, the older you get, Hollywood is not nice to you. Now, if you are established, like somebody like a Meryl Streep, or, maybe they're nicer to you. But unfortunately, right or wrong, obviously it shouldn't be this way, but it gets more and more difficult for women the older they get. And that's not my opinion. That's a fact. It gets harder because it's an industry that is, especially the on-camera side, it's easier for voiceover because you're not seen, or you're rarely seen. But with on-camera especially, it's so, and especially for, sex sells and beauty, and it's the whole fantasy. It's the fantasy of Hollywood. Folks, most people, like by a long shot, most people working in Hollywood on Hollywood films are not millionaires. From the actors down to the water boy, most people making movies aren't even close to being millionaires. Right? There's a certain section that is the show. It's the big show, right? And there's a certain section of the industry that is very, is the fantasy. And that's what actors want to be a part of. Oh, I want to make the big movies and make the millions and the glitz and the glam and the carpets and the limos but that's like this. That's a drop in the bucket when it comes to the Hollywood movie, major motion picture entertainment industry. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent, but it can be very difficult for women to keep up with that appearance. And sometimes, Danielle is 40. Hey, Google, how old is Danielle Harris? She's 43. 43. Thank you. Thank you. I said thank you to an AI. Who doesn't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. So 43. Okay, well, she's 43. She's not 22. She probably looks like a 43-year-old woman. Now, I'm not saying all 43-year-old women look like that. I'm just saying she's 43. Right? I don't look like the way I did when I was 22 either. And I think sometimes, but she still looks great. Like, you look at her like, yeah, she's great. She looks great. She's hot. But I think too, she's a mom and that's a very tiring job. And I think it's important to remember too, that if you live a life that doesn't require you, like again, Danielle Harris is acting. She's still acting. She's doing very well, but she has spent most of her life in the B horror movie arena. There's nothing wrong with that, whether that's by choice or not. There's nothing wrong with it in and of itself. But that's where that is her legacy at the moment, is Halloween 4 and 5, Hatchet, Halloween Rob Zombie, B movie stuff, that's what she's done. And she's very proud of it. And so she should be. But that's not the kind of lifestyle in Hollywood that a publicist or a manager would be requiring you to work out every day, eat healthy every day, get on that fucking treadmill, lose 10 pounds. You got to fit into that Academy Award dress, and there are levels and degrees to this kind of thing. Not everybody and everything and every level runs on the same cylinder, right? So we have to remember that as well. I understand the principle of what you're saying though. I do. I get it. She does. I've noticed that too. For me personally, I would describe it as tired. I think she looks tired a lot of the times. And that could be because she's a mom, it could be because she's a mom, who knows? I don't know. But there are some women who are older, like for example, Halle Berry, 51, says The Artisan. But Halle Berry is also black. And we have to remember that I've noticed, and a lot, and this is true, and maybe you have too, that if you are black and again, this is I'm speaking generally, okay? But a lot of people who are actors and even people who are black and even Asian age very well. They age really well, especially when you have good bone structure. They can age really, really well. There's some people I see, I'm like, oh my God, they're 65. They look 40, right? You know what I mean? They've had no work done. They age really, really well. And again, there's some white people that age really well too, right? But it's something that I've noticed, and other people have noticed it too. There's something with again, this is generally speaking, right? But Halle Berry, of course, is also at a different level than Danielle Harris. Halle Berry, there's different expectations for Halle Berry. That's basically what you have to remember. There's different expectations for Halle Berry. There's different expectations for Jennifer Aniston. It's a different level than, say, Danielle Harris, right? So you have to remember that kind of thing too, right? There's many different variables at play. I'm just speaking openly and candidly just to give you guys kind of an idea of some things to think about. But yeah, anyway. Victor Charlie sends in a super chat. Thank you, Victor. Says, DM, happy Thursday. OT, as I missed your Kong versus Godzilla. It's actually Godzilla versus Kong show. But Zilla always been an anti-hero. At what point in canon did he go from villain to anti-hero? He's been an anti-hero in a lot of the Toho Japanese films. He was only a villain in the 1954 original, the 1956 American cutdown of that movie, the 1984 sequel to the 1954 film, the 1985 cutdown of the 84 sequel, which is to the 56 movie. He was a villain, quote unquote, in that movie, more of a force of nature. But a lot of the Toho films, I'm speaking about the 60s, 70s films. I haven't watched a lot of the 2000s movies. But certainly when he's fighting the monsters, like whether it's Gigan or Mechagodzilla or, Megalon, King Ghidorah or Ghidra, as it's pronounced often in Japanese, he's the hero. He's the anti-hero. So if you watch a lot of those old cheesy Godzilla movies from the 60s and the 70s, and there's a lot of them, you'll notice where he's fighting other monsters, it's always the other monsters that are coming to tear shit up. Well, I guess he was kind of the villain in Godzilla versus King Kong from 1962. I guess when you watch that movie, you get a sense that he's the villain per se. But there's a lot of movies from that era that are where he's the anti-hero. So I would say that he's always been the anti-hero in a lot of cases. And that was sort of the design that they went with. That was the part of the mythology that they took over for the 2014 movie, Godzilla. They made him sort of the anti-hero. And that's what you have to remember. Again, it's worth repeating that he's not a hero. He's a hero in the eyes of the humans. But Godzilla doesn't care about the humans. It's not that he doesn't not care about the humans, but he's indifferent to us, right? The new Godzilla films. He's indifferent to us. If he cared about the humans, he wouldn't be so arbitrarily breathing fire and smashing buildings over. He just wouldn't do that. He'd be more careful. He'd be like, hey, let's take it out to sea. You know what I mean? No, he doesn't care about us no more than we care about the ants on an anthill. But he's the hero to us because we benefit from him protecting his planet, his territory. He's protecting his territory from King Ghidorah and Rodan, right? He's protecting his territory from Kong. He's protecting his territory from those creatures from the first movie, whatever it was. And we happen to benefit from him protecting his territory, right? So so it's always important to remember that. But it's the anti-hero stuff that they took from the original films. He's always really been an anti-hero, apart from, like I said, the several movies where he's not. Darren Sand says Michelle Pfeiffer has been back for a few. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer looks great. She looks great. But again, she's got great bone structure, right? I find, and it's the same with men. If you are a man or a woman, who has more bolder features, right? So Michelle Pfeiffer has more bolder features as opposed to a woman that would have more cuter, rounder features, right? The same with men. If you are a man that has a strong jaw, right? You got a strong jaw, or something, right? And you got more of like a chiseled kind of strong. The older you get, the more likely it looks, look at Brad Pitt, right? He's got a strong jaw, you know what I mean? And there's certain, and of course he's handsome to begin with, but I just mean that normally bolder features tend to age quite well, whereas smaller, cuter features tend to, not, I guess, I don't know, it sounds awful, but hopefully those that are watching can, be mature about this and understand nuance and understand that I'm not calling anybody ugly or fat. It's not personal. We're just talking about this in a general sense, objectively, right? But it is the internet. Warren Armour says, Halle Berry has a white mom. She does. But I mean that okay, technically she's half black. You are correct. That is true. But she does have, but she looks more black than she does white. Sometimes when you have mixed parents, you can look more white than you do black or more black than you do white. She certainly has more of the black features than she does white features. And she's still beautiful to this day. My God. Stunning woman. Frank Reiger says, Warren, how could she recite it with her mouth full? Oh, you guys talking amongst each other. That's what's going on there. Frank says, Dave, we know how much you like theatrical posters in English and French. Oh God, no, I don't. But how do you feel about it when they add an extra character into a poster that wasn't there to begin with years later? An extra character? What do you mean by that, Frank? The one thing that I really don't like, and to, piggyback off of what Frank said, whenever you buy movies, listen, and this is not an attack on French Canada, okay? But I do find this fucking annoying. I really do. There's laws in Canada that, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version, essentially that certain signs and packaging and things like that have to be in both French and English. Of course, when you go into Quebec, they don't have to be in English at all. It's like, yeah, there's the pandering and the catering. But anyway, that being said, one thing, and it's just it's an aesthetic thing. I find this frustrating. If I was to go to my local Best Buy, or if I was to go to Walmart or wherever they sell movies, right? And I was to walk in and buy, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I have actually. It would say Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then underneath it, there would be the French title. Like, Monsters de King Godzilla, however you would say that in French, whatever it is, there it is, right? And I find that irritating because it's completely and utterly unnecessary. Nobody in Quebec is going to go into a Best Buy, look at the cover of Godzilla King of the Monsters and go, what is this? I have no idea what the fuck this is. Thank God the French title's there. I'm pretty sure I could walk into a store somewhere that had the cover of Jaws and Jaws written in Spanish or Japanese, and I'd be able to know that that's Jaws. You know what I mean? It's just frustrating. And again, this is purely selfish. It is an aesthetic thing. I just like having, I would be okay if, if you have an English version, a French version, that's too much money, I guess. I just find it annoying. I find it annoying. And, French is the official second language here in this country. But it's ironic because very few people in this country outside of Quebec speak French. It's really just Quebec. Yes, you do get some French in certain parts of Ontario and certain parts out east. Yes, it's not that it's all confined to Quebec, but it's not necessary. The way we do mental gymnastics, I don't think is necessary. Or I just don't think it is. I can walk into a Walmart in, California, in LA, which has a gigantic Spanish population, and I can buy a movie and there's just an English title on it. It's not like it says it in English and Spanish, and there's nothing wrong with it in and of itself, right? Again, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. This isn't an attack on the French or the Spanish. Not at all, right? Nuance, people, nuance. This is purely an aesthetic thing. Personally, I'm just like, oh, it kind of, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. If you want to have a French version where you have a cover that's all in French, that's fine. Knock yourself out. But I like things that are pure and, original, and the original box with the original title with nothing else on it. And, I like that kind of thing. So it's purely selfish. I do admit. But what were you saying, Frank? Did you follow up? You were talking about characters. Extra characters, do you mean like extra words or something? Or like a subtitle that's on a poster now that wasn't initially there? Something like that, maybe? Jonathan Ball says, a true crime documentary. Gotta Google The Clown and the Candyman. It will blow your mind. John Wayne Gacy had connections with Dean Carroll. International pedophile ring. That is shocking. Thank you very much. It's called The Clown and the Candyman. That sounds like that's a great title. I mean, obviously what it's about is absolutely horrific and awful. But in terms of just a title, I could see that being the title of an actual feature film. Although that would confuse people in thinking that it's about Pennywise and Candyman. But nonetheless, Gary Rangel says he basically answered my super chat with Real Reveal's comment about my super chat question. Oh, did you send in a super chat? I didn't see it. Gary Rangel, here it is. Says, Dave, you should watch a 2021 thriller Son starring Andy. Oh, you were talking about that earlier, and then I gotcha. Okay, yeah, I definitely want to see it. My man. Thanks, Gary, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Victor Charlie sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Victor. Says, DM, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you too. Oh, I already read that. Okay, good. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Just want to make sure I am not missing anything. All right, I think we are good. There we are. Corey Dean says Best Buy is horrible for movies. Yeah, they are. Well, I mean, physical media. Walmart's still not too bad, but Best Buy has really come down. Yeah, they hardly sell any physical media anymore. And that's by design. I mean, we knew this. I mean, the studios are everything will eventually, physical media will disappear. Now, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to disappear completely in the sense of, that, but I think it is going to go the way of the record for a period of time. And then I would like to think that maybe 25 years from now, maybe 30 years from now, when I'm in my 70s, maybe Blu-ray and 4K and, whatever, it becomes sort of, a novelty item again. It becomes cool. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, though. I don't know if that's the case. It depends. Technology is expanding exponentially. And I don't necessarily fully believe that Blu-ray or whatever will make VHS hasn't made a comeback. You know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean that you don't collect it. That doesn't mean that there aren't people that don't collect it. I know a lot of horror people in the horror community that love VHS and collect it. But I'm talking about in how vinyl has come back. Like, I can go into a store and buy vinyl. I can buy records in a store. I can buy I have 2 little record players that I play vinyl on. I can't go into a store at the moment and buy VHS. VHS hasn't come back. Now, it also hasn't been gone as long as vinyl was before it made a little bit of a resurgence. And now vinyl is it's a novelty now. It's kind of back. It's back. It's a novelty. And Tony Michael, who I do 2 Dudes and Some Bullshit with, I mean, I think I know he has a digital library of music. I know he does, but he doesn't he collects a shitload of vinyl, old stuff and new. If you follow him on Instagram, and if you don't, what are you doing? He'll often show his vinyl collection and play shit. So vinyl is definitely a novelty now, and it made a bit of a comeback, a bit of a resurgence to the point where it's kind of fun, and you can buy it in stores. I don't think VHS will do that. I think VHS will sort of stick. I don't think it's going to do that. I don't think DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K, although it may. I don't know. It depends on where we are in 20 years. Do we care about it? Are we even listening to music anymore? Or are we going into the oasis like in Ready Player One and just losing ourselves in some sort of alternate reality? And you may laugh and think, no, the world's never going to be like that. That's always going to be science fiction. No, I guarantee you that what you saw in Ready Player One will eventually be a reality. 100%. Will it be in our lifetime? I don't know. But 100%. What we're doing right now, the internet, what I'm doing right now, virtually, the fact that you guys are in a chat room talking to each other in real time, listening to me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, whatever it is, it's all virtual reality to some degree. It's not the real world. But it's become the real world, hasn't it? It's sort of become the real world. Isn't that wild? Now, maybe you're not old enough to remember, a time without it, but certainly it's crazy. And if this is what it's like now, and this is only the last 10 years or so, right? Give or take, right? Where we are like right now. Like, I remember the election between Obama and Clinton. When Obama went up against John McCain in 2008 or 2007, leading into 2008, I think it was like the first time that YouTube or Facebook was like covering shit, and it was all over YouTube, and they were taking it. It was crazy. Well, now it's like, it's so normal. Where are we going to be 20 years from now? And are we still going to be doing this in chat rooms on YouTube like this? No, it's going to evolve. It's going to evolve. I'm not saying in 20 years it's going to be the Oasis and you guys at home are going to be able to put on your goggles and step onto a treadmill and walk in and we all get to hang out together. I'm not saying we'll necessarily be that far in 20 years. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm saying that how we are communicating right now, this virtual reality that we are in at this very moment right now, that Warren Armour and N. Valentine and Bob and Ben Tramer 1978 and Victor Charlie and Frank Riker and right now and Dave McRae, me, it's not going to be like this 30 years from now where I guess I better log into McRae Live. I guess I better, hey folks, how you doing? McRae Live here, my 9 millionth show, sitting here like this. Nothing's changed, nothing advanced. Hi, how you guys doing? You're still typing away on your... It's not going to be like that. There's going to be some sort of crazy evolution of where we are right now. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, what's your favorite John Carpenter film score beside Halloween 78? Probably The Fog. I would say The Fog. That entire score, not just the main theme, but a lot of what he had in The Fog was brilliant. I thought it was great. So I'm going to say The Fog. Frank Riker, Dave, for example, in the basketball poster, it had just Terry Parker and Matt Stone, but later they superimposed Jenny McCarthy in later. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm thinking to add star power to it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying now. Okay. Yeah, I'll say this. I don't like original shit being touched. If you want to make an alternate poster that 9.9 times out of 10 doesn't even hold a candle to the original, but if you want to make an alternate poster or an alternate DVD cover or Blu-ray cover or 4K cover, whatever, fine. And they do that all the time anyway. I mean, how many covers of the original Halloween do we have? You know what I mean? But I do not like, or I hope they don't start a trend where they go back to the original artwork and add things in. Like you take the original Halloween with the fist and the pumpkin and the knife, right? Well, don't go back to that and then add like Dr. Loomis's face beside it going like this, kind of doing this kind of thing, and you have like Jamie Lee Curtis on the side going, I mean, that's all fine for like maybe a t-shirt, that's fine. Like you see that kind of stuff in t-shirts and stuff. Okay, that's fine. But not like official poster, like official marketing material for the movie. No, just if you want to make a poster like that, that's fine. Okay. But don't go back to the original artwork and change it. Like don't put the orca on the original Jaws poster behind the girl swimming. You know what I mean? Like don't do that. If you want to create a Jaws poster that has the orca on it, then create a Jaws poster that has the orca on it. You know what I mean? And sometimes those alternate posters are really fucking cool. Like how many times have we seen an alternate poster where we're like, or an alternate, DVD cover, or whatever the case is. And you're like, that's really cool. Like, I actually really like that. That's really cool. And sometimes you're like, I wish I could have a poster like this. That Blu-ray cover, I wish I could have a poster like that. Like, I think that's cool. That's okay. I'm okay with that. But actually changing the artwork on the poster, yeah, I'm not okay with that. Kevin Spear sends in a $4.99 super chat just to send one in. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Really appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. Real Reveal says, Dave, you still got that spoiler? Oh, I do. Thank you, Real. Thank you very much, my man. Thank you. There we go. Really appreciate that. You still got that spoiler sticker, my friend. Also, have you seen the horror movie, The Unholy? I want to check it out. Looks good. Also, any updates on It's Me, Billy? I have not seen the film Unholy. I'll have to look it up and see what it is. And in regards to It's Me, Billy, no more updates than there were a couple of weeks ago when we released the trailer. The film is still in post-production. It is going through the color grading process as we speak. Make sure, by the way, guys, make sure you tune in tonight over on Fandom Empire's YouTube channel at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be on there with Bruce. Bruce and I will be on there talking with Sean. We'll be talking about It's Me, Billy. We'll be talking about myself and Bruce, and we'll be talking about Halloween and all sorts of fun stuff. So make sure you tune into that tonight. Fandom Empire, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, myself and Bruce. And we'll be talking about It's Me, Billy, I'm sure there. We will be. And we'll go in a little more detail there as well. But it's being color graded. That I can tell you. The film is being color graded, color corrected. Those are two different things, by the way, just to let you know. Color corrected and color graded as we speak. Evil Alex says, favorite collector's item in your collection, Dave? VHS, posters, figures, autographs, heads, shirts, sweatshirts, heads. Well, I love all the severed heads that I have of all the murders. Favorite collectors in my collection. Probably, like, it's probably certain figures, you know, and obviously certain movies or certain sort of obscure films. But some of my favorite stuff, which doesn't have anything to do with movies, and I've talked about it before, but it's so cool, are the photos that I have of my father with certain people that he met in his life as a journalist. He, for those of you that may not know, my dad was, who's been dead now for 10 years, but he was a journalist and a columnist here in Canada since the early 60s. And he died in 2011, and he wrote for tons of papers and magazines, and he came up through the golden age of journalism. And so I have photos on my wall here behind the screen. My dad with the Beatles, my dad with Robert Kennedy, my dad with John Diefenbaker, who was the prime minister at that time of Canada in the 60s, with Burton Cummings of the Guess Who, American Woman, wah, 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 wah. I have that. And then there's one over here with him and my mom and Liberace, which is amazing. And there's others I haven't even put up. Like I have my dad with Gordie Howe and John Candy, and it's crazy. So those are, even though it's not me, that's very special. And I have two of my dad's awards. I put them beside my nominations, which is really cool. It's cool to see that they have my dad and then me, and it's kind of cool. Pulls on the feels a little bit, you know what I mean? And but those are probably really special to me because it's something that it's so niche. Like, how many people can say that they have a photo of their dad with? He's with John Lennon and Paul McCartney. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty fucking cool, you know? So, and then, yeah, Robert Kennedy. And the one with him and Robert Kennedy is like, that's when, because it's in the middle of like a scrum. And that's when he was on his, like, he was running for president. I'd have to ask my sister if she knows when that was taken. See, this is the kind of thing that sucks, right? You know, when your parents die, you want to ask them all sorts of questions, but you don't. It's definitely 68. It's 1968. He was murdered in 1968. This could be like, I don't know, a month before he was assassinated, maybe. I don't know. But it's very cool. It's very cool. And my younger half sister, Katie, who lives out in Nova Scotia, she has, because we obviously split up the stuff after our dad died. She must have, there's another photo with him and Robert Kennedy. And there's also my dad, when I was growing up, cat hair all over here. There was a piece of cardboard that my dad had that had Robert Kennedy's signature on it. And he used to put it inside the frame with the photograph. And that was really cool. I don't have that. So I'm hoping and assuming my sister has that, because that's Robert Kennedy's signature. That's really cool. Anyway, those probably mean the most to me. I know it's not movie related, but in terms of, like, you know, historical, pop culture, whatever, those mean a lot to me. Because they're so obscure, like nobody, you know. But in terms of movies, it's probably, the movies and the figures, probably. And the Michael Myers masks, I guess. There's so much. I got so much. I don't know. I can't. It's like choosing a child. I don't know. I don't know. Super chat comes in from Sweet Tea for the channel, my friend. Be safe, my friend. Thank you, so sweet. Or thank you, Sweet Tea. As we say, the tea is sweet today. The tea is sweet today. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. David Coe sends in $9.99 super chat and says, obviously a Shatner mask would have improved H4. Well, it actually was a Shatner mask, believe it or not. But would a Shatner mask and Castle mannerisms also have improved H2O, with everything else in the movie being the same? Yeah, I believe it was the mask in H4, believe it or not, was a Don Post. I believe it was a Don Post Shatner mask, if I'm not mistaken. Or one of them is certainly the one that the scene where he's in the school and he shows up with the blonde hair and the pink face, you know, the one you're like, what the fuck is going on here? That's definitely a Shatner mask for sure. And I believe it was, but there's reasons why it didn't look right. There's many reasons why. Or they were going to, but they couldn't. They had one, and that was the one they had that they were going to, and they couldn't. So I'm in the ballpark. The chat room will let me know. But would Castle mannerisms also have improved H2O with everything? Listen, having the mask that looks like Michael Myers from the original Halloween will always improve your Halloween movie. Getting an actor to move like Nick Castle did in the original Halloween, in addition to wearing a Michael Myers mask that looks nearly identical to the original mask, will always improve your Halloween movie. It would improve Halloween 5. It would improve Halloween Resurrection. The question then becomes, how much of an improvement would there be? And that comes down to the narrative, the story, and the characters, right? There's only so much Nick Castle mannerisms and a William Shatner, Michael Myers mask can do. It can't work miracles, right? But because Halloween 4 is not that bad, I don't think it's as good as the first. It certainly is more of a late 80s modern, but there is that general consensus that in comparison to the rest of the Halloween sequels, Halloween 4 is one of the better ones, right? It's Halloween 2 and 4. Those are probably the two best sequels, right? There is that general consensus. So you put Nick Castle mannerisms and a Shatner mask in part 4, and yeah, it probably would improve it quite a bit because it's already a liked movie. It's already not that bad, right? So it's probably going to improve it quite a bit. You do that in H2O is a bit of a fan favorite, but let's say you do that in 5 or Resurrection, how much of an improvement is it really going to be if everything else stays the same? So yes, I think it will always improve it, but I think it can't work miracles either. It can't work miracles either. Real Reveal follows up, says, when will the Two Dudes perk and McRae live perks be happening, Dave? Well, the Two Dudes perk is beginning this coming Monday. We are having our great moderator, of course, and co-host of the Slaughtered Lamb podcast. By the way, if you guys have not checked out the Slaughtered Lamb podcast, which is hosted by Frank Riker and Darren Sands, you've got to check it out. Fellas, feel free to throw links into the chat room right now, and let's see if we can get these guys to 100 subscribers on YouTube. I believe they're sitting at about 80, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's a little over that. Let's see if we can get. They're great, and I'm not just saying that because they're moderators here on the channel. I'm not just saying that. If I thought it was crap, I just wouldn't say anything. I don't. Great chemistry. A lot of fun to listen to, great insights, great film knowledge. They talk about things that we talk about here on this show, but they also talk about things that we don't tend to talk about on the show. So make sure you give them a like and a subscribe over at and you have to YouTube the Slaughtered Lamb movie podcast, because if you just YouTube the Slaughtered Lamb, something else will come up. But I'm sure Frank or Darren, if they're still watching, will pop that baby into the chat room here. Make sure you give them a sub, because you guys will not be disappointed. And there's even an episode with me, which is the Die Hard episode, so check that out. And I will be returning to the show soon, so that'll be fun too. But this Monday night, Frank, who also picked up the Two Dudes perk, is our first guest. This is our first fulfillment. This Monday night on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, we're watching Psycho 2. Psycho 2 is what we're watching. So the Two Dudes perk fulfillment has begun. And then the McRae Live perks are going to be starting soon, Real. Don't worry. They're going to be starting soon. But as you can imagine, we're just trying to get this movie. We want the movie to be as good as it can possibly be. And that's where our hardcore focus has been. But it's coming, my man. Everybody out there who picked up any perk, it's coming. We haven't forgotten about you. We haven't forgotten about you. Do not worry. You will be fulfilled. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, did you like the score of Escape from New York by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth? I haven't seen Escape from New York in a little bit, so I'd have to go back, and I don't remember not liking it. I really like the movie. I liked it a lot better than Escape from LA. So yeah, I'm going to say yeah. I mean, I don't recall having any issues, but my second favorite Carpenter score is definitely The Fog, for sure. I gotta say, it's definitely The Fog. It's definitely The Fog. That's what I'm gonna say. There's the link right there. Darren just popped that baby into the chat. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. What are you guys up to right now? You guys are up to 82 subs. Yeah, so just over 80. That's great. Let's see if we can get these guys to 100. 100 subs. That'd be great. That'd be great. Let's see if we can do that. Mizzy E says, never saw Psycho 2. Heard it was really good, though. Got to check it out. You got to check it out, Mizzy. You got to check it out. It's one of the better. It is known as far as horror sequels go, it's like people feel about Psycho 2 kind of like how they feel about Jaws 2. You know what I mean? It's like, that's pretty good. You know, it's as far as horror sequels go. You know, it's like, it's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. I think you'll like it. Make sure you check it out. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me for episode 159 of McRae Live. Thank you to my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tab of the Shore, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber for doing what you guys do. Thank you to the Super Chat questions that came in today and the non-Super Chat questions that came in. I really appreciate it. If you're watching live or after the fact, comment below and let me know your thoughts on Alex Vincent and Christine Elise McCarthy, I think this is her name, returning to the franchise. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this Chucky TV series? Are you excited? Are you not excited? I want to know your thoughts. Comment below and let me know. And also, there goes one of the lights went out. And also let me know your thoughts on the movie Run, if you've seen it, from 2020, not the old Patrick Dempsey movie from the early 90s. I'm talking about Run 2020, directed by the same guy that directed Searching. It's on Netflix right now for me. Maybe it's on Netflix for you. If not, it's certainly has to be on Hulu because it's a Hulu original film. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know. I really liked it. Great psychological thriller. Really, really liked it. Really liked it. All right, folks. And again, don't forget to tune in tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on the channel Fandom Empire. Myself and Bruce will be on there talking shop. So have a great rest of your Thursday. Stay safe out there, and we will talk to you guys soon. All righty. Cheers.